Hey everyone, Sula here from MistyHilltops.com. Thanks for stopping by. In this episode, I'm working on a 5x5 mini album spread that I titled Color Me Happy, and it's for my Spring 2023 mini album. So I have the papers, everything is ready, and I'm starting by gluing the photo onto a photo mat that will back up this photo. So it's kind of like a frame, except it's easier to handle than a frame. When I'm working with such small projects, working with frames that are just have a tiny rim, then it's very difficult with that gluing, and so I like to mat photos sometimes. So for this piece, I used one of my dies to cut that one out, and then I just used my trimmer to cut out the other pieces there. And I can start gluing things down. I layer things up first to know whereabouts everything will fit on the page. As usual, I'm working on a small size, so it's only 5x5, which means I have very limited space to work with on my page. And so I have to pay good attention of where I'm putting everything on the page. So I like to work with contrasting colors. So even when when I decide which products to get, I always pay attention if the paper pad, for example, will have contrasting colors, or if they're all kind of the same weight as far as like the patterns. If the patterns are all about the same sizes, I don't like that. Or if there's no kind of more solid colored papers. For example, you see this dark brown there. It is a pattern paper. It's not just a solid colored paper. It is patterned, but it is such a subtle pattern, so it works really well with contrasting it with other papers. So layering it with other papers so that you can still see and have a contrasting effect there. So now I'm going on to start the other page. On such small pages, I treat them like one larger page. And so I start with a layering there. Obviously, the bottom layers need to be glued first. I ran a card around the edges to distress the edges of each of these papers, especially the straightforward ones, the straight edges, where the edges are just crooked or just curved or something. I sometimes do. It depends on how curved things are. But with straight edges, I usually use, and if the paper is thinner, I usually distress the edges, because it just makes these papers pop so much better off the page and give a bit more contrast. So I have my two photos ready here that I am also ready to glue on. There's there's one larger square and a smaller square that will complement, and then there will be more photos to go on the other page there. But for me, I wanted to do the layering with the photo mat there, and so I continue the same theme there. I use some dies to cut out these mats because they're scalloped, and so I tried to use the little scalloped ones. Here I created a title, and I had one. I actually pulled out my silhouette to cut out the word color, and then I have some dies that say cut out the word happy. So it's going to say color me happy, and I try to kind of mix up all the words and use different font or types. And so I also watercolored all my titles so that they would kind of match with the colors that I have going on this page. So I sometimes with the silhouette, it's more difficult to cut out really kind of thin ones, but with this one, it was thick enough to be able to just cut this one out from plain white cardstock. And as I said, I then watercolor them. And then the me of this title, I simply stamped and then just cut by hand very easily there. And that will go right in between there. That's the title work done, and then now I have that space there for the other two photos, and I made sure that the background paper also isn't too crazily patterned, so that I can there's enough contrast with the picture, because the pictures are really, really busy. So I don't like to use very busy pattern papers for my photo backgrounds. So this way the photo really comes into play. Then I created my own embellishments as usual. I created these little flowers with dyes, and then I watercolored them, and there is also the foliage. And obviously, for once, I am remembering that the foliage should come first before I put down any of the flowers so that it actually goes underneath there, and then I can start adding the flowers to this page. And I'm creating little clusters there, and here's a little camera that I'm also adding there to this little cluster there. And you can already see my word strips that I have ready, but first I want to create my next cluster. I usually try to work with 3 kind of clusters to create that visual triangle on my page, but obviously also the title creates a cluster there. I have this little butterfly that I stamped and then also had a die for, so that I was able to cut that out easily. So this is my second cluster, and now I need to decide where I want to put my word strips. I create these word strips on my own. Some of them are available as freebies on my blog, MistyHilltops.com. I recommend you check it out. If you're interested in freebies, all you need to do is just print them. I print them on just normal thicker cardstock, and then I cut them out with a trimmer and then by hand. So they're super fun and easy to use. You can also create your own word strips, just especially if you want to work with smaller projects like traveler's notebook layouts and stuff, and you don't have space for huge word bits. Then I recommend you create your own or download the freebies from my blog, MistyHilltops.com. And they're just fun to work with. I like to add them to my pages. So I'm trying to create 3, and here I have to decide where this last little cluster of word strips will go, and I have to make sure it presses down really well. This is an album, so it works. I'm working with several pages there. You can see already the backside already has other designs in them. So I've already finished some pages. Here's the butterfly, adding one more, and that is my page done. I'm going to leave you with some more close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.